Alrighty, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Talking Comics with a Toy Vault. I'm Alex.
I'm Alyssa.
And this week, Alyssa, what are we talking about?
Okay, so for the Marvel book this week, we're going to do West Coast Avengers, issue 1.
Finally.
Alex has been super hyped for that one.
So hyped. I've talked about it twice already, and we're only 4 episodes into this thing. 4? This is episode 4.
For DC, we're going to do Justice League Dark, issue number 2.
Also very good.
And then for indie, we're going to do something that's a little bit more adult-oriented, which is Hack/Resurrection, because it's one of my favorite ongoing comic series, and even though it's kind of unusual, I'm going to talk about it anyway.
We're just going to put a warning right here. Hack/Resurrection is not for kids. Like Alyssa just said, it is an adult-oriented book. We'll be talking about that last. So if that's not something you want your kids to check out, we'll warn you again, but just heads up. That's coming soon. So, we're going to start this thing off with West Coast Avengers. West Coast Avengers is being written by Kelly Thompson. I love Kelly Thompson. If you haven't figured that out yet, I'm sorry. I don't think I've talked enough about Kelly Thompson then. Get ready for our next episode. It's just my ode to Kelly Thompson. So, West Coast Avengers kind of takes place after the events of the all-new Hawkeye run, or Hawkeye Kate Bishop, written by Kelly Thompson, about Kate Bishop moving away from like the big hustle and bustle of the superhero saturated New York to a little more quiet and friendlier place, Southern California. And it's all about her adventures in Southern California. And West Coast Avengers is the end result, where she realizes there's no one defending the West Coast. So she takes upon herself to create a team of actual misfits to defend the West Coast. Alyssa, what do you think about it? You haven't read too much of the predecessing series. What do you think about issue 1?
I really liked it. First of all, to start off, I'd like to say that me not having read the things that actually lead into this, I'm super pumped about it, because I was making jokes literally like a week ago where I was saying, why would anybody ever move to New York if there are like aliens and all sorts of crazy things attacking like every other day? So this sort of like put it into perspective, where it's like it is happening other places, even though like every movie pretty much takes place in New York. At least you know that like other places also have really weird run-ins with really weird stuff, and they need people to defend them. So I like that this kind of touched upon that, because that's always been something that I've kind of like raised an eyebrow at as far as the MCU goes. So
hopefully we'll see more like West Coast based stuff. Isn't Ant-Man 2 based in like San Fran or something?
Something like that, yeah. But I also feel like villains in Ant-Man, specifically like as a movie, are a little bit more of like realistic villains. Like, not that it's something that could really happen per se, but they seem more like
your fat cats.
Like science created. Yeah, like it's something that is more capable of existing. It's not like something coming down from the sky or anything.
It's no giant Kirby death wheels.
Yeah, it's no giant donuts in space.
It's just businessmen, fat cats doing fat cat things.
No space donuts and Squidwards.
So, but West Coast Avengers consists of Kate Bishop Hawkeye, Clint Barton Hawkeye. Yes, both Hawkeyes are in his team, so it's going to be super confusing for everyone. America Chavez, Gwenpool, Quentin Quire, and the newest addition to this team, Johnny Watts, a.k.a. Fuse, a brand new hero who kind of spun out of the all-new Hawkeye run previously to the series. So this issue is pretty much just Kate Bishop realizing there needs to be a team here in the West Coast. So it's her adventures in trying to find West Coast-based heroes. And let me tell you, there are some pretty bad choices in here. Alyssa, who is your favorite one from the list of the auditioners?
So to give it like a little bit more context, I guess the best way that I can describe it is there's like a couple of pages worth of what is almost like an American Idol style audition, where like you have these people showcasing their quote unquote talents to Hawkeye, female Hawkeye, not male Hawkeye.
Get Bishop, everybody.
But they're showcasing their talents and basically describing like how they feel that they'd be a good addition to the team. But my favorite one is literally Wolverine. And he's just got steak knives taped onto his hands, or like they're rubber banded onto his hands. And according to Kate Bishop, they're not even good steak knives. And he thinks she's being mean about it. But I was, like, absolutely losing it when I was reading that page. I thought it was so funny.
I like the silver snowboarder. So your powers only work in the snow. Totally. Do you think maybe Los Angeles is not the best choice for you? She just goes quiet. Like, that's so good. I love it.
There's a couple of other really good ones that I don't want to bring up just because they're so funny, especially if they catch you.
You
like, off
gotta
guard.
check it out. There's a few of them that'll just like make you. I didn't mention my absolutely favorite one because I want to leave that.
Me either. I think we're talking about the same one.
Probably. We're not gonna say which one it is. Pick up the book and you can figure it out for yourself. If you can figure it out, let us know in the comments. Alyssa and I have the exact same pick, so let us know if you can guess which one it is. But pretty much through the interview process, she hires Gwenpool by pure mistake or just good luck. I want to probably say good luck.
It's a mixture of both, I would think. Yeah.
I mean, she was just kind of coming by to say bye, and she's like, "You're on a team." And she's like, "Are we?"
She's like, "Sure, why not?"
And then Quentin Quire bursts through the door saying, "Your savior has arrived." Al as pompous as Quentin Quire has ever been.
Basically, like, with a squad that's basically, like, turning this into, like, an episode of, like, Real World Avengers or something.
It's gonna be interesting. Yeah, Quentin Quire comes with, like, a reality TV show crew, which is an interesting plot point. And that's how, like, they're getting some of their funding through it. But this issue 1 kind of breaks down that her trying to find teammates. The teammates talking about, like, her in general. It's a really great issue 1, honestly. It has really good setup. It gets you initially invested into each of the characters. It gives you enough time with each character to kind of be like, I like little things about this character, or I hate little things about this character. So it gives you time to understand some of their aspects.
But it also kind of shows you how superheroes that aren't, like, the main Avengers would actually function.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have thought a couple of times about, like, what people who don't have a Tony Stark are actually doing to be able to get their weaponry or just, you know, actually fund existing. Because, you tend to forget that the Avengers only exist because Tony's basically just feeding them money.
Same thing with the Justice League. The Justice League only exists because Batman and technically sometimes Oliver Queen, depending on which iteration, like, is just funding them.
They all just have these billionaires who have all this strange know-how and expendable income to just help fund their operations. So it's really interesting to see people who do not have that and how they handle things.
Yeah, and I mean, Kate Bishop, her character background, she comes from money, but like this is her breaking out of that because her parents are super evil. Well, her dad is.
So she does not have access to that money now.
Exactly, she does not have access to that money now. So it's her learning how to handle things and be a superhero without money, which is honestly really hard without any powers. Like when you have to have supplies of weaponry and do things, like it's super expensive. America probably doesn't think about money. She kicks star-shaped holes into dimensions and is also super strong and invulnerable. Like she doesn't have to worry about money. Gwenpool obviously doesn't have to worry about money. She doesn't practically exist in our realm.
I'd also like to point out that I'm pretty sure that one of my ex-boyfriends makes a cameo in the last couple of pages, because that is for sure him.
Is your ex-boyfriend also a head too big for his body?
Kind of.
Is he also perfectly luscious locks, sultry seaside tan, and the handsome head that may be just a little too big?
He's also an eerily familiar acronym.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that is your ex-boyfriend.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. No differences there whatsoever.
I mean, good for him. He made it into a comic book. But yeah, West Coast Avengers, I am absolutely going to pull this series. I read all of the all-new Hawkeye. I've read a lot of the different series leading up to it. It's honestly, if it gets good with Gwenpool, I'll go back and like give Gwenpool like another chance just to see maybe if I miss something else. Which is a cool thing about certain comics. You know, you end up reading newer iterations of that, and you maybe think, maybe if I go back and give older ones a chance, maybe something will pop up.
Oh, that's right. I'm supposed to say whether or not I would pull it. I'm probably gonna pull it. I mean, I'm interested in it. I like the characters. I like how diverse the cast of characters are, and I like that they're not perfect.
By no means.
But I like that a lot because the Avengers that we're used to seeing, they're kind of all like when you look at them, you kind of see these people that are so much above and beyond what you are as a person. Like it's something that you could never actually become. Where these just kind of seem like doofuses in costumes, but in a good way. Like obviously they have powers. But
they're
like,
young, which is the best part. They're younger Avengers.
So I like that they actually have like not that the Avengers don't have personalities, but I like that they are a bit more like quirky and trying to figure things out as opposed to just being like strong and indestructible and being able to rip buildings in half, and they're just kind of more like, I hate this guy and he's a jerk and I don't like working with him.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, some of my favorite Marvel characters are like the younger, like non-main Avengers characters, just because I feel like they get a different level of attention and detail like put into them that the other ones don't, because they're new characters. There's no precedent for them to how they should be and how they should exist because they haven't been around for 60, 75 years. They're brand new characters that get to exist as their own, and I'm like, I like that. There's nothing bogging them down, and they get to be real characters.
There's not that, 60 years of character build-up where people expect them to be a certain way, and if you don't write them that certain way, then people are going to get mad, and people aren't going to want to read books anymore. Or, Captain America. Hail Hydra.
Oh my god.
But, I mean, like, it makes it easier to actually do a unique arc without having people be super furious about you, like, breaking the chain that you spent all that time creating.
Like, that's the thing. Some of my favorite arcs from the bigger series is, like, I coughed Peter Parker. Like, the Superior Spider-Man was such a great diverge from the classic Peter Parker Spider-Man. And some people loved it, some people hated it. There was no real in-between. Like, Dan Slott got, like, death threats for that series.
I feel like there never really is an in-between in fandoms. Like, for the most part, there's not really many arcs that people are like, meh, about, especially in something massive like, Marvel, or even in DC. It's like, when they're characters that you've known and seen your entire life and you've grown up with them, when they're not that character anymore, it shakes people. It freaks them out.
Yeah. But that's the beauty about comics. These characters can be changed and changed back and changed again at any time. It's like the comic world is constantly in flux, and there's always different people writing it or something.
And that's what I like about comics. I like that I can experience the same character like 15 different ways.
I know, it's great. And I honestly really like how Kelly Thompson is writing all of these. I loved how she writes Kate Bishop and Clint Barton, because she wrote both of them in the previous Hawkeye series, which was great. And Johnny, I like how he was written in there. I love America. Like, she wasn't her kick-butt self as she has been in some of the more recent stuff she's been in, but she's back to it, and she's kicking star-shaped holes through dimensions, and my heart.
That's a cute one.
So yeah, that's West Coast Avengers. Let us know what you think.
All right, now for our DC book, we're going to talk about Justice League Dark. This is, in particular, issue 2. And surprise, surprise, it's another comic book run that I didn't read anything that's supposed to lead up to it. Yeah. Actually, that's not true. I did read some of the one-shots. I did, but not the main series.
Well, so Justice League Dark spins out of the events, if you want to go far enough back, because of Metal, no justice happens. And because no justice happens, Justice League Dark happens. So Justice League Dark, if you want to get caught up on the what's happening and why this team is what the team is, which the team is made up of Swamp Thing, Zatanna, Man-Bat, Detective Chimp, and it's all being led by Wonder Woman, which is amazing. And Wonder Woman's leading this team because of the events of No Justice. No Justice was a 4-issue weekly series that came out of the events of Metal, which was a 6-issue series with a ton of tie-ins. It was the hottest thing through almost all of 2017, really. All the trades are out for Metal, the tie-ins, the main series. So go check those out if you want to read why No Justice happens. And then the No Justice trade should be coming out in a couple of weeks, a month or so. It's coming out soon. And then check that out, and then you'll be fully caught up with what happens, why Wonder Woman is building this team.
And now is the absolute perfect time to do that, since everything's going to be in trade form. Originally, I started reading the one-shots for it, when they were describing, the particular... It was, Batman fused with different members of the Justice League. When those came out, I read all of those individually, but there were just so many tie-ins from Metal that it was intimidating to me to have to track down all of these different tie-ins to be able to understand the story. But now that it's all going to be out in trade form, like, I'd totally be down to read it. So, I mean, like, if you're like me and you can't really, like, afford to pull the single issues, especially when there's, like, gonna be one in the Suicide Squad and one in, you know, one in the Batman and one in Aquaman, and, like, they're just all over the place, then, I mean, like, trades are freaking awesome because you save a lot of money doing it that way, and you save 20% more when you get them through us, so.
If you put them on your pull list, or if you have a pull list.
Yeah, I should probably specify that. Only if you have a pull list with us.
Yeah.
So you have to pull some singles, at least, to be able to accomplish that, but
yeah, so Wonder Woman is, investigating essentially I don't want to say death of magic, but something is wrong with the magic in the DC universe. The original owners of magic are coming back to take back what people stole from them eons ago. And this is what this whole story is. Because of the events of No Justice, these beings have been able to break through and make contact with this reality again, and are taking back magic, and it's causing all sorts of chaos. Zatanna can't even cast spells. If she casts spells, they go crazy out of control, and she can't control them, which is a huge thing, because Zatanna is one of the most popular, like, magic-based DC characters. Because, you got John Constantine, you got Zatanna, you have Dr. Fate. Like, those are the big three for the magic. And Zatanna can't control her powers, which is insane. And this issue is all about them, like, tracking down and trying to figure out what's happening and why this is happening. They end up meeting up with Dr. Fate in his tower in Salem. Like, Swamp Thing gets time to talk with John Constantine about what's going on with the green, because the green is being affected by this weird magic because it's life magic. And even though it's not, like, directly, like, smoke and mirrors kind of magic, it's still an important magic to the world. And then Kirk Langstrom and Detective Chimp are there to provide the analytical science side of everything. They don't understand magic. There's no reason for them to be here, but we need to have the reason and logic to kind of break through this sometimes. Honestly, I really love this team up.
I definitely need to go back and read the stuff that leads into this.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely not something that you can jump into without prior knowledge, I would feel. Like, you could probably get the hang of it if you read it enough.
They kind of do well enough in issue 1 and 2.
They do backpedal pretty well.
To backpedal and kind of get you caught up. So even if you haven't read No Justice and Metal, you'll get an idea of what's happening and why this is happening. I would highly recommend going back and, like, reading No Justice and Metal to give you that, like, first-hand experience, because they will spoil the big, like why this is happening from the events of No Justice.
I believe we carry 2 different versions of Metal too. We have like the really pretty, like, deluxe edition as well. So I mean, like, if people are looking to collect trades and hardcovers really and stuff, it might be worth getting, like, that super fancy metallic-y, nice looking Metal.
But yeah, it's Justice League Dark has been, like, a series that have kept coming up over the years, and it's usually always involving, like, Zatanna or John Constantine, or, some other big magic essence in the universe. And this is the first time, like, a member of the Trinity has really been on the main team. Batman's shown up every once in a while, but, like, he's there to sell books, usually, Batman's not really there. He's just there to sell books. Wonder Woman's on this team, and she's pushing for it. She wants to understand magic, because her shtick in the Trinity is the magic one, but it's just all enhancement kind of, like, magics and everything like that. You don't see her, like, casting spells or doing something insane. Like, she's the magic member of the Trinity, but isn't honestly very magical. And that's why I'm super excited to see her finally breaking into the magic universe with these other, like, huge sorcerers and sorceresses, and actually becoming, like, the magic member of the Trinity. So Justice League Dark, I'm pulling this. I've been pulling it before it was even out. I got so excited when they announced the team lineup. I just immediately wrote it down on my list.
I'm not pulling it, but not because I'm not enjoying it,
but
because I'm going to honestly wait till it's in trade form, just because now I have a whole lot of content to catch up on before
Which
I can
is
get
something
into
to
it.
look out on. Justice League, like, more than likely it'll be 5-6 issues, more than likely. It depends what company and who's doing what, but 5 or 6 issues. So by the time like November rolls around, like we should be getting a trade by the end of the year for Justice League Dark. Hopefully in time for the holidays. Because I would highly recommend picking up Justice League Dark and No Justice and Metal. And check out the other Justice League titles going on right now. Justice League main series is really good, and Justice League Odyssey, when it finally releases, will be spectacular.
Right there, that was a good idea for like a gift, a holiday gift. Get somebody that whole chunk.
Yeah, I mean, no better way to spread the love of the holidays than by giving someone a good book. I am an advocate member of Everyone Should Read. I don't know if it's a real club. I'll make it an organization. Everyone should read.
I'm mildly disgusted that we're even like talking about Christmas in August, but I mean, I guess it's getting close to that time where people got to start thinking about it.
Well, when you think about it, comics is like a long form thing, you know. With a monthly series, it takes a month for an issue to come out. So if you want to get a trade, you know, the series is gonna release the trade twice a year maybe, and usually that's gonna fall around a holiday time for some things. That's why they kind of started doing them like five issues instead of 6, and then they released the first 3 issues in like a bi-weekly sense. That way they can push volume 1 out after like 4 or 5 months, which is honestly pretty cool. I mean, it gives you a lot of the books really quickly, but when I'm picking up a new series, I kind of want to read these books really quickly because I'm excited about it. I'm reading it for a reason. I kind of don't want to wait.
Sometimes it's really difficult for us to talk about single issues of comics just because we don't want to ruin it for somebody who's looking into it, especially if you are somebody who's waiting for the trade. I mean, like, it's basically the difference between going to see a movie in the theaters or waiting for it to come out on DVD. It's like, I don't want to blow super awesome, cool plots for you that you could be as excited about as we are. On the subject, however, of having difficulty with talking about single issues, I'm going to intro us into our indie segment, which this week is an Image comic that is called Hack/Resurrection. And I absolutely love Hack/. Like, I am so about Hack/. It is absolutely ridiculous. It was recommended to me by one of my coworkers, like everything else I ever read, just because he thought that I would be super into it.
And just so you know now, this is definitely, like I said earlier, not for kids. So if you parents want to fast forward or skip towards the end right over this, because this is 100% not for the youngins. This is adults only. It has an M for mature rating, not for kids, but it's honestly too interesting and too good of a series just to not want to talk about. Hack/Resurrection kind of combines 2 series, the old Hack/ series with like the same premise as what's been going on here, and Vampirella, which is an older like Dynamite series that's been like coming back here and there.
So even though this is issue 10 in the run of Hack/Resurrection, the first page in here has a little bit of like a preface as to what it's about. Like, you know, if you were going to read the back of a book, that would give you a little. So it says, Cassie Hack is the lone survivor of an attack by a slasher called the Lunch Lady, a slasher that happened to be her mother. She traveled the world with her monstrous partner, friend Vlad, hunting down and destroying slashers wherever they found them. But then Vlad died and Cassie disappeared. So that's actually a really good summary of exactly what's going on here. I mean, it would obviously be because they put it on the inside of the comic, so that would make sense. But yeah, that's what's going on here. That's what happened in the older Hack/. The ones that people remember from like back. Well, that's why it's Hack/Resurrection.
Yeah, it's the return of Hack/. Cassie's back, and she's back at her hunt and slaying ways, and she has a new partner, Vampirella.
I wouldn't necessarily call Vampirella her partner.
Associate?
I would say associate. That's a much better word for it.
Girlfriend?
That might be an even better word for it.
Are they dating?
Cassie is very bisexual, which is honestly one of the reasons that I like her so much. I like that she's constantly conflicted about her questionable teammates because of how attractive she finds them. Honestly, I think that's funny and that it's fun.
I mean, it's kind of goes back to like the old Buffy days, you know, with her and Angel.
It's very Buffy-esque. I mean, like, she's a hot chick that destroys monsters.
I mean,
and she's good at it.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like, Buffy is a phenomenal series, and like they're still making comics for Buffy. Like, the series has been going on for the past like 10 years in comic form. And like every once in a while you'll see a new show or a new comic or a new something that has that premise, and we're like, wow, that's super Buffy inspired. And honestly, I love it.
Not to mention, it's cool that Vampirella's around, because that's another character from, back in the day that it's really awesome to see in a modern setting. So, a trade of the first segment of Hack/Resurrection. It should be out right now. In the back of this issue of the comic, it says available now. So, I mean, like, now's a pretty good time. There is one issue out since the trade, so if you really like the trade and you like Cassie, then you can collect the singles if you want. And if you don't, another trade will come out.
And if you want to, and if you don't see it in one of our stores, you want to add it to your pull list, so when it comes in, you can get it put right into your box. You're more than welcome to.
Oh yeah, of course. The polls are a great way to do that. This particular issue takes place like outside of a school dance, and for some reason, I'm always a sucker for that kind of thing. Like, those are always my favorite episodes of Buffy as well. Like, the ones where, like, there's, like, vampires or demons or something infiltrating the school dance, and Buffy's, like, kicking butt in her, like, white party dress. Cassie, however, is not wearing a party dress. I don't think Cassie will ever wear a party dress.
So, yeah, Hack/Resurrection. Check out volume number 1. It's out right now. Let us know what you think. If you want to track down the older Hack/Slash series and stuff, it might be a little harder to find them in trade form just because it's been a while. But with Hack/Resurrection coming out, I'm sure Image will be pushing and putting out all the older series that they have available to them. So there might be new printings of those trades coming out.
And Hack/Slash honestly has everything that I love in a comic. If you've listened to our previous episodes, like, I absolutely love The Walking Dead. So to have another Image book where there's a character who's, killing zombies and demons and vampires and that kind of stuff is super exciting to me, especially because it's got humor. Like, a lot of the scenes are like super, super funny. The characters are interesting and funny. The relationship between Cassie and her partner, I won't say who in case you're going to read the trade. The relationship between Cassie and her partner is absolutely hysterical. I like that Cassie has a dirty mouth and that she's not afraid to get dirty and that she's constantly covered in blood and that she's basically like the embodiment of a lot of the females that I know without, the whole murder aspect of it. But I mean, like, she's sassy and she's independent and she likes video games and she likes goth attire. And one of the other cool things that I really like about Hack/Slash is in a lot of the individual issues of it, they'll have a little segment at the back where they'll show you photos of cosplayers that also love Hack/Slash dressed up as Cassie. And to me, that's wicked awesome that they reach out to their fans in that kind of way and they like to showcase the people who love it. So anything like that where people are giving cosplayers props and talking about how much effort that they put into their outfits, and they always encourage people of like different body types and stuff. So a lot of the different comic books that have like female centric characters right now are doing really awesome variant covers that have famous cosplayers on them as those characters.
Rat Queens had a line of cosplay covers, which is really cool. I picked those up just because I love Rat Queens.
I even pull issues of comics that I won't typically read if they have cosplayers on the cover, just because I like to support people and support their artwork. And I think it's cool that they're trying to get people out there because con culture is becoming such an explosively massive thing. It's so cool. So even if you're somebody who doesn't really like to read comics, but you're interested in con culture and comic culture and artwork, you could always try to pull comics just for the really awesome variant covers and for the pictures of cosplayers and all that kind of stuff, because you don't have to necessarily read comics to be able to enjoy them. Sometimes they're really just beautiful works of art. And I mean, obviously I encourage reading them, but there are other reasons to pull them as well.
And with that, I think we move on to the ending of this little thing.
So we're going to talk about the books that are being dropped next week that we're super hyped on.
Alyssa, what are you looking at? What are you hyped up for next week?
So, underneath the Marvel heading, next week is a new issue of Lando Double or Nothing. If you're a fan of the Star Wars series and you enjoyed Solo, it's literally the Childish Gambino, Lando Calrissian. So, I am so flipping excited for this new issue, because I've really, really liked it so far, and I really like that it's literally drawn to look like Donald Glover, who is Childish Gambino, in case you didn't know, or in case, you know.
No, they're two separate people, Alyssa.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The internet will say they're two separate people who are astoundingly similar looking. It's literally drawn in his likeness, so I just love everything about it.
It's
so I'm
super
hyped
good.
on that. What about you?
For Marvel, I'm gonna say Runaways. If you haven't read Runaways, any of the older stuff, it's a really great series that really doesn't touch too much on like main Marvel stuff. It's its own kind of like sequestered like West Coast series, and I just love seeing non-New York Marvel heroes. It's great. Any other books you're excited for, Alyssa?
Also under Marvel, the new X-23.
X-23 is going to be real good. Mariko Tamaki
It's been really good
series,
so far.
It's really great. I think, lastly, I just want to mention the ending of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, like the big crossover event, Shattered Grid. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Shattered Grid #1 is the last issue of the entire shebang. That's coming out next week. If you haven't been keeping up with Shattered Grid, go back and find those single issues because they have some amazing cover art for those series. Both variant and main cover art is gorgeous looking, and you're not going to get that in the trade. Although, if you can't find them, the trade is going to be really good just to read that meat of that story. But the covers are worth tracking down for the single issues.
Unfortunately, there's not really too much DC that I'm hyped on for next week, at least.
But I mean, it's
But,
all
I mean,
going to be
there's a new,
the DC Looney Tunes crossovers is like the big thing that's happening next week, which. You know, Harley Quinn Gossamer, Lex Luthor Porky Pig,
Catwoman and Tweety and Sylvester,
the Joker Daffy Duck, you know. Those are something that's really good. The Marvel, like, Warner Brothers, Looney Tunes kind of crossovers have been happening. People lost their minds over the Batman Elmer Fudd one because my boy Tom King wrote that series. And,
Batman Elmer Fudd was actually really good.
Oh my god. That's like what Tom King does. And that's why I love Tom King's work on, like, most other things than his main Batman run.
I thought it was going to be more silly than interesting, but I really liked it. But all of those DC, like, Looney Tunes crossover issues that are coming out all also have really nice variants.
Yeah, so definitely check that out for DC. Even if you're not interested, maybe just pick it up. You never know. Like I said, the Elmer Fudd Batman issue skyrocketed. It was like $50 for some reason after a few weeks.
And the awesome thing about those DC Looney Tunes crossovers, if you're interested in them and you don't want to get too invested and you're not sure if you're going to like it, they're all just one-shots. So you spend $5 on the one issue and you don't have to worry about doing it ever again. So if you don't like it, you don't have to do it.
Yeah, and even then, you got something really cool to hang on to. So I think that about wraps it up, unless you have something else you want to say.
I'm pretty sure that's it for me.
All right. This has been Talking Comics with the Toy Vault. I've been Alex.
And I'm Alyssa.
And we'll catch you next week.
Peace.